Let's talk about learning strategy. So let's look at the strategy of elaboration. The term elaboration means lots of different things, but when we're talking about studying using elaboration, we mean explaining and describing ideas with many details. Elaboration also involves making connections among things that you are trying to learn and then connecting the material to your own experiences, memories, and day-to-day life. So elaboration strategy is when students use elements of what is to be learned and then expands them. So the student expands the target information by relating other information to it. For example, creating a phrase or making an analogy. So how do we do this? To start, you ask yourself questions while you're studying about how things work and why, and then find the answers in your class materials and discuss them with your classmates. As you elaborate, you need to make connections between the different ideas and explain how they work together. Take two ideas and think of ways that they're similar and then ways that they're different. How does this work? Elaboration strategies connect information to be learned with information that students already know. This connecting takes stress off of our working memory because connections create efficiency in learning and memory. First, you start by describing how the ideas you are studying apply to your own experiences or memories, and as you go through your day, you make connections to those ideas that you're learning in class. Why is this a good strategy for you to use? Because elaboration strategies creates connections or bridges to the information that is going to be learned, and they can be powerful instructional tools for a classroom. The confidence that students have in already knowing the connected information can support the learning of new information. So once you get started, make sure that you are explaining and describing an idea in an accurate way. Don't overextend the elaborations, and always check your class materials or ask your instructor to be sure that you're going in the right direction. You're going to work your way up so that you can describe and explain the ideas without looking at your class materials at all. So what are some of the different types of elaboration strategies? Well, consider the information that needs to be elaborated on and the needs of your learners. So analogies, for example, are pretty complex ways of connecting information. So we apply this phrase or sentence to the new information that we're learning so that we can remember it. For example, we might say, the World Trade Center was attacked on September 11th, 2001. The date 9/11 also refers to an emergency situation, or 911. The attack on the World Trade Center certainly constituted an emergency situation. We can also look at drawing relationships based on specific characteristics that might be found in the stimulus material. For example, photosynthesis is a process where plants take in carbon dioxide from the air and produce oxygen. That works the opposite of me, a human being, because I take in oxygen and produce carbon dioxide. This creates a balance, but I'm extending and connecting it to what I know and don't know, and I am looking at similarities and differences. A specific method of elaboration that we can use is called elaborative interrogation. Now, the word interrogation means to question, so when you use elaborative interrogation, you ask yourself questions about how and why things work, and then you produce the answers to those questions. The specific questions that you need to ask yourself depend in part on the topics that you're studying, but generally, we look at how does this work? Why does this happen? When did this happen? Or what caused this? And then what's the result of this? And so on. To start, we make a list of all the ideas that we need to learn from class. Then go down the list and ask yourself questions about how these ideas work and why. Ask yourself questions, go through your class materials like your textbook or class notes or any materials that the teacher has given, and then look for answers to the questions. As you continue to elaborate on the ideas that you're learning, you want to make connections between multiple ideas to be learned and then explain how they work together. A good way to do this is to take two ideas and think about ways that they're similar and ways that they're different. Then you can describe how the ideas that you're studying apply to your own life experiences or memories. In addition, as you go through your day, take notice of the things that happen around you and try to make connections to the ideas that you're learning in class. So what happens when you practice elaborative interrogation? Well, asking yourself a number of why and how questions will encourage you to produce explanations for the ideas that you're learning. And integrating new ideas with what you already know helps you organize these new ideas. This makes it easier to bring them to mind later on, like when you need to answer an exam question or you need to use the information in a different class or even in a real-life situation. Engaging in elaborative interrogation also encourages you to think about relationships between different ideas and understanding how two ideas are both similar to one another and how they're different from one another can improve your understanding of the material.